Squeeze it.
Welcome to the Dad Tribe podcast,
Yeah.
the ultimate hub for men's health and lifestyle. I'm JC, marketing expert, owner of VBL and Red Media.
Yep. I'm Coach John, personal trainer, entrepreneur, dad. We're here to have some fun.
Yeah, man. Hell yeah. So this episode is going to be surrounded by or geared towards really our pursuit in success and pursuit in entrepreneurship and kind of the successful lifestyle that we are trying to emulate every single day, and how that ties in with fatherhood and being a dad, being a present dad, and kind of that, and wrap all of that up into one episode. So
Yeah, I think
we'll dive into other things as well.
I think it's really like the balancing act of all those things.
Correct,
Right?
yeah.
It's trying to be successful, but not ignore your family and not get too sucked into family life to not be able to be successful, and like finding that give and take.
Yeah.
Around it. I know this is something I personally struggled with a ton, especially in my first couple stints of trying to be an entrepreneur in the last few years. So I'm excited to get into this conversation and see where it takes us.
Yeah, same. I think I'm kind of on my third or fourth iteration of companies and owning companies. And,
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yeah, I've had a few.
What was first?
Successful. My first company was I was actually a trainer. I don't think I ever told you.
No, you didn't tell me that. You were?
Yeah, that's why I know so much.
Okay.
Yeah, so much.
So much. That's why you come to me for questions every day.
100%.
Anyways,
That's
you
why
were a trainer
that's why I'm
first.
such a fucking expert.
Yeah,
No,
yeah.
I'm just kidding. Yeah, I was a trainer. Out of college.
Okay.
I trained. Yeah, I took some bogus like online
They're all-
personal training
yeah.
course.
You gotta have them.
So, but yeah, I was a trainer. I opened up my own company called it was Improvement in Small Increments. So ISI Fitness and Training, because I was very passionate about. There's a phrase Kaizen, a word Kaizen that the Japanese use that, like, I think it's Toyota has based their entire company off of, and basically it's improvement in small increments is what it kind of boils down to. And so I based the company off of that, but that was my first company.
So you were one letter away from being ISIS.
You know, it's funny because yes. And
So if they Googled you, they might get ISIS.
They might get ISIS. Hey, look, SEO play. That I was ahead of my game with SEO.
Yeah, you were trying to SEO all over the place.
Absolutely. So, but yeah, ISI Fitness and Training. Then I had a stint in tires, actually. No, sorry. I had a stint in real estate. I worked for an asset management company.
Okay.
It was not my company. I was,
okay.
That's where I quickly realized that I didn't want to work for
I got
anybody.
it.
Yeah. Although the owner of that company was 24 Asset Management. First Service Realty is the company. The owner, Eddie, it was somebody that I still look up to as an entrepreneur. Taught me a lot. He was a great motivator and just somebody that made it from nothing and somebody to look up to. And he was a fantastic family man. So I learned a lot from him. So although I learned that I didn't want to work for anybody, I technically didn't work directly under him, so I didn't really deal with him much. But I saw how he ran his companies, and I loved it. But I just quickly realized that I didn't like the quote-unquote corporate world,
Gotcha.
if you will. And then from there, I opened up. I started working in tires for a little bit with a colleague of my dad's that my dad had worked with. His son was trying to get into the tire business, so we started that. That quickly failed. Like within 6 months, we had no fucking clue what we were doing. We were cold calling
Part of the learning.
Yeah, we were cold calling left and right, and it was just what was the phrase they use? Good old boys club, and just everybody in the tire business kind of like had their people, and we couldn't make a lot of dent in it. So we did that.
Reminds me of like Tommy Boy. You make me think of Tommy Boy right now. Like he's trying to go sell his brake pads all over the place, and they're like, "You're not your dad, so I'm not buying."
It's kind of how it felt. It's like you have no clue what you're doing. And from there, actually, right before that, I took over my grandfather's distribution company. And I renamed it Regal Medical Solutions. It was a lot of disposable products.
That one you told me
like
about.
adult diapers,
Right.
yeah, etc. Which has kind of come around a little bit now with some stuff, but adult diapers, underpads, just incontinence type products.
Yeah.
Selling overseas. My dad had a lot of contacts, so we did really well the first couple of years. And again, had absolutely zero clue in what I was doing. I was just an entrepreneur trying to make it, and had absolutely no idea. And I got into some business we basically opened up a DME, a durable medical equipment, which is if you have Medicaid, Medicare, you're able to get like where you get your wheelchairs, your home health, stuff like that. And it's billable. So we opened up a DME company, or we took over a DME company. That was a terrible mistake. It was with my, it's true. It was a terrible mistake. We lost so much money. It was with my dad's cousin, which we don't talk to anymore, and is kind of the black sheep of the family. The name that shall not be mentioned. Basically. Not that
them who shall not be named.
Not that I care about saying his name, but because he's
we'll call him Voldemort.
Yeah.
Just to
whatever. But led us into some bad decisions. We lost a absolute ton of money.
Okay.
And from there, I started working with a wet wipes company, Excel Care. Went back to working for people. But it was a little bit of a hybrid position. I was running sales and opening up the sales division. Okay. And that's actually where I met my right hand now, Vanessa, which is who's my right hand with VBL and with Red. Okay. We hated each other in the beginning. We're complete opposites. I was run through a wall, and I don't give a shit what's gonna happen or what's on the other side of the wall. And she's like, "Well, hold up, that wall might be concrete. Like let's test it out first."
Awesome.
So I think the vision that I have in my head when I say that is the Juggernaut in the X-Men movie where he's just like fucking.
So I was thinking like Bull in a China shop, and she's the Matador.
Also,
great
reference.
Hey, come over here and hit this wall, and you're like, no, this one. Yeah. She's like, no.
Yeah. Very similar. So, but we quickly found our yin and yang, and
nice.
And and we developed a really good working relationship. That was that was like 10 years ago, 8 years ago now.
Wow.
From there, that stemmed into my e-commerce brand, which we launched again about 7 or 6 years ago at this point. It was a keto company.
Okay.
That was at the height of in the beginning when keto was everything.
Everybody was doing it.
Everyone
was tired of
everybody was going to get saved from keto. It was it was a cult. It was very culty. Still is, by the way, very culty.
Some people live by it.
Yeah, listen, and I have nothing. On the contrary, I still a lot of my eating habits are keto-esque, like low carb, and have nothing against it. It's just the world of keto got very, very, very culty very quickly too. But anyway, so we started my supplement company, Better Brand. It was supplements, and then it kind of morphed into functional foods, so high protein brownies and cookies, etc. That's really what kind of got us on the map. We did a little over $1 million within 12 months, a little bit under 12 months. With no marketing money, we were working on our own profits. There was no investment into the company whatsoever. We started with $4,000.
Wow.
And then COVID hit. And
oh, jeez.
Yeah, I feel like that is the worst thing you could say in a story. Then COVID hit,
and then the pandemic.
And it is the biggest truth. And then COVID hit, and we were caught in a point where we didn't have great margin, because usually supplements have great margin, but functional foods don't have that great of margin. Now it's better because more people are knowing how to do it. There's more manufacturers that are capable of doing it. There's a company in Miami called Master Labs. They're very good. They're fantastic. Or Master Foods, one of those. But they're very good. And the guy that owns that company, Michael Faro, he started it 5 or 6 years ago, and he's still there, kind of hitting it hard. Could be. He was in the fitness industry. He owns CrossFits, etc.
I've heard that name.
Yeah. He that's how he made himself. He was in the CrossFit realm. I don't really know a lot of his history, but I know for a fact he owned CrossFits and maybe branched them out or chained them out, whatever, franchised them out. So we started Functional Foods, etc. And then COVID hit, and we didn't have enough margin to eat off of our own margin and pump into marketing and pump into other areas of the company. we were trying to keep up with the Joneses during COVID because everybody that was already established had either investment, some venture capitalists or whatever the case may be, or they just had a pot of money that they were working with that they were able to pump into marketing and really take them to the next level. And we were trying to keep up with the Joneses. There were companies that have been in the market for a minute, Fat Snacks, High Key, to name a few.
Right. So they were increasing their market share with marketing while yours
and
you couldn't afford to market.
Yeah, we just couldn't afford it. We were in the red every month just trying to fucking keep up. And yeah.
I'm not having PTSD. You're having PTSD.
I'm not sweating. You're sweating.
I'm not sweating.
So yeah, that's the best way to explain it is that, and we were all so committed to the project. We were so committed to the products that we were coming out with because they really were good products, and the whole vision that we just kind of got lost in like we'll make it, we're gonna make it. Like this pandemic will end, we'll make it, you know, and we didn't make it.
we didn't make it.
Long story short, we didn't make it. We just ended up kind of swallowing our own selves, like just letting the house fall on us.
You just kept chasing your own tail, and you could never really catch up.
Yeah, we didn't know when to say, we really need to pivot here. We really need to stop. Let's cut our losses. And then we had some internal fighting and internal battles, etc.
But I think it's hard when you believe in the product so wholeheartedly to ever quit. Like you'll run yourself into the ground to a certain, like you're willing to get battered and bruised for the product, for the service to a certain extent, and your objective mind isn't working right because you're emotionally and motivationally attached to this thing.
Yeah.
Your identity gets tied to it too.
And that's the hardest part as an entrepreneur is yeah.
I'm not sweating, you're sweating. Yeah.
It's one of the hardest lessons that you got to learn as an entrepreneur is you have to be able to separate yourself
100%.
From the product and from the business. Because the business is not your identity.
Yeah.
And unfortunately a lot of people do that. Not a lot of people do that. It is very natural to do that as an entrepreneur.
But that seems like the natural progression because most people get into being an entrepreneur because it's something they're passionate
Correct.
about.
And
so it is part of who they are.
And most entrepreneurs are just naturally passionate.
Right.
It's literally like probably the number one or two trait you have to have is you need to be a passionate, driven person.
Right.
So you get so passionate about this project. And that was we ended up kind of dissolving the company, everybody going their own ways, not in a great way. Everybody was pissed off with each other. There was a lot of money lost and a lot of people that lost money, including myself and some investors. And nobody likes losing. Yeah, bless you.
I apologize.
Hey, you're good. Bless you. Just interrupt me again and we're done. But hey, bless you, but don't fucking do it again.
Hey, you're a lot bigger than me. Don't joke like that.
I'm stronger, but you're way fitter than I am. So I'm going to say that with a caveat. He's way fitter than I am. And then now you have it where you want to work out with me now. So but luckily it's only the strength stuff. Like you kind of shift away when it comes to like the Metcon. Yeah. I'm like, just get away on the Metcon stuff, like all the high intensity stuff.
Don't breathe near me.
I'm not even in your realm. But the strength stuff, yeah. So. But yeah, we ended up, everybody kind of went their own way, unfortunately. And right after that, I had a really good opportunity. One of the individuals that at the end tried to salvage the company was a friend of mine, Alex Alfonso, still a very good friend of mine. And he tried to help me salvage the company at the end. And he pumped some money into it. It was what he wanted to do, and nobody coerced him. He's very good with his money. And he's an entrepreneur himself. He has a construction company. He tried to pump money into it, and it was we were just grasping at thin air. There was nothing to grab onto. It was done at that point. Nobody saw it. I didn't see it.
Right.
Maybe I didn't want to see it. Right. And we had built up such steam and such a great product that it was just hard to see it go. So he tried to come in, tried to salvage it, and in that process, he had an opportunity to bring his company, Madison, up to Orlando and to Tampa, and open up the regions up here for what he was doing. He was basically Now he's expanded a lot more, but essentially he was very focused on iBuying. So Zillow, OfferPad, Open Door, everybody that has fucked up the market, the real estate market, and
So blame Alex. All right, cool. Yeah,
not allowed people like us to buy and purchase a home, and priced up the market. We were basically flipping for them. So flipping at like an insane, doing $60,000 flips within a week type deal. So just doing very high end flips and at a high volume. So we had a conversation one day over drinks at a Longhorns, which was
classy.
Which is exactly right. Which most of our meetings were at very classy places,
but this one just happened to be at a Longhorns.
But there was a Longhorns that opened up right by his house, so we would meet there every once in a while.
I mean, you went for the bread. I know you went. It's fine.
And their wings are low key so good.
Oh, really?
Oh my god, their wings are fantastic. Their food in general is very good.
It's very passable for the ones that I've been to.
Way more passable than Outback. I feel like Outback's food has gone just very mediocre at best.
You're not gonna convince me that.
No, but Longhorns and their wings are fucking great.
Oh, right.
Yeah, and they have really good blue cheese. I could be here all day. Longhorns. I'm a big Longhorns fan. Longhorns, we're looking for sponsorship, which I have. Oh, it's an Outback gift card.
Well, we can kiss that one goodbye.
So I found this in my jacket. And we ended up going to Outback one day. We were like starving, and it was the only thing on the road. And I was like, let's go to Outback. You can have a good fillet there, but don't get me started on Outback. But anyways, where was I?
You were flipping houses.
Yeah, so we're flipping houses. Oh, so I took his offer. He's like, look, I would do it with somebody like you, like I trust you, etc. If you don't want to do it, you don't have to do it, but. I go, look, it was a Friday. I go, look, let me go home. Let me talk to Monty. Monty was like, I think Braden had just been born. He was like 2-3 months old, something like that. If she were here, she'd fact check the shit out of me. He's probably like 6-7 months.
It'll be in the comments, don't worry.
Right, 100% it would be in the comments. And I go, let me go home. We had been thinking about coming up to Tampa for a while. Like we've had family.
So at this point, you're still in Miami.
Yeah, I'm still in Miami.
Okay.
We've had family in Dunedin for 35 years. My grandmother moved up here 36 years ago. My aunt and my cousins live up here. Now they live in St. Pete. So, we had been looking for an excuse to come up here for a long time. We love this area. And Miami was just not an area we wanted to raise a child in anymore. No shot to Miami. I have many good things to say about Miami, but Miami has its flaws, and we've discussed them many times. And I'm not talking about the football team, so don't fucking get started, okay?
It's not football season yet. Leave me alone, okay? I won't talk about
we
my
didn't
goals.
mention this, by the way, in episode 1, but the insanely fucked up part about all of this is he's an FSU fan and I'm a Miami fan. So, Hurricanes.
Yeah.
But really all Miami teams, but Hurricane fan. So during the season, it's very fun in the gym.
Yeah, we have a good time.
There's a lot of banter.
We have a good time.
You've been winning that banter the last 3 to 4 years. 3 years, actually.
Look, just because what's his name is playing the war chant already in your practices doesn't mean you're gonna be ready.
So I have something. I have something to say. There is FSU, and by the way, I'm gonna say this with a lot of love to FSU fans because. Every single FSU fan that I do know is either family or a really good dude. So I have to say that I do love the FSU fans that I know. Okay. And you guys are great fans. Right. I will give you that 100%. You guys are great fans. Can't say the same thing about Gator fans, but FSU fans, great fans. Except for
I
Greg.
will stand on that.
Except for Greg. God, Greg is a great fan from Southern State. Yeah. Greg's a great fan. But outside of Greg, because he's not pompous,
right.
I met so many like pompous Gator fans. Like, anyways. Outside of that, there is nobody more attached to the Miami program outside of Miami fans than FSU fans. It's fucking nuts. You go on Twitter and it's like Mario Cristobal farted today in practice, and it's a bunch of FSU fans. See, he's a fucking pussy. It's like, what? Why are you guys so attached to the Miami program? And by the way, vice versa.
No,
100%. Miami 100%. Fans are.
If you guys had been winning the last few years, right, that wouldn't be happening. I
disagree with that.
No. I'm telling you for a fact, because we wouldn't have a leg to stand on. Because one thing about Miami fans is you guys are ruthless about pointing out who's winning right now.
Yeah,
you guys are ruthless about it. We go in there like, oh, Cristobal he shot in his hand and ate it. Like
Yeah,
you guys would be like, yeah, but we won. And
yeah.
like that would be the comment thread on Twitter.
Yes.
So because we are winning, and because there were how many years you guys won in a row? There was quite a few where we were struggling through the Willie Taggart and the end of.
Yeah, it was like 3 or 4 years.
Yeah. We were struggling to beat anybody.
Yeah.
Let alone the Sunshine State rivalry games. Right. And so when we finally started winning, and now we were winning handedly, we're getting a little cocky. And I'll tell you, like, so to be teasing about things they're doing in practice, or Cristobal, or his lack of clock management or whatever, there are things in which that would not be happening if we were not
That's fair.
doing as well as we are doing.
That is a fair...
so it'll swing back the other way at some
point. It will, and I will say this. There is no more cockier fan than FSU and UM fan when winning. Like
in Florida,
No, I would say I would honestly say in college football.
No, Ohio State will always outrank.
That's a good point.
Ohio State will always be the most annoying college football.
That is 100%. Did you see that they might take their 2001 championship away?
I mean,
I saw an article that they're under investigation.
Really?
Yeah, for that time period, whatever, and they might take it away. Which don't take a national championship away. That's like the cancel culture nowadays. Like you did something 25 years ago.
25 years
Get out of here, bro. Like nobody's done anything wrong in their entire life.
You should have caught it then. You should have you didn't catch it then.
Right. Let's not go back. Somebody obviously Miami fans were like, we're gonna get our 6th national championship. I'm like, how about we get it? Like get it.
How about you beat somebody?
Yeah, not fucking.
So
20 years ago.
I never understood why they would take it away because somebody got paid under the table. Like that didn't change the game.
Correct. Yeah.
Like unless someone shaved points.
Correct.
Don't take it away.
Correct. Yeah.
Unless the coach was like, hey, I'll buy you a Mercedes if you have your team throw this game.
Right.
Great.
Yeah.
But so what? So some college kid got $600,000 from the university he shouldn't have gotten. Slap their wrist, slap the colleges, be like, hey, you can't recruit this year.
Correct.
Or something. But don't be like, hey, you didn't win a national title because Johnny Manziel got money.
Yeah.
Don't.
Talking about betting and throwing money under the table. Have you seen what's happening with Major League Baseball? And
what's his name?
Yeah, that's how much I follow baseball.
I saw the press release saying that he gave his interpreter a buku amount of dollars.
Yeah.
And then I saw the press release of him saying, I've never gambled, blah, blah, blah. And his interpreter still having to interpret it. And I was like,
and there's a lot of
crazy. The season hasn't even started yet. And the number one player that people are talking about is caught in some corruption scandal. They're trying to boost some ratings.
Well, there's a lot of things too that are pointing at his direction. Like the way that he structured his contract now. So he structured it for the next 35 years. He did a Bobby Bonilla, and he structured it for the next 35 years. So he's making only a couple million dollars the next couple of years, the next 5-10 years, whatever. And then he backed his payments at the end of the contract. So there's just a lot of weird things that are pointing why would you do that? Whatever. But to that point, I saw somebody the other day tweet. Obviously, it's always a tweet or an X.
Oh God, don't.
Which
do
is
it.
so weird.
Don't
How do you say an
it's
X?
It's a tweet.
Sorry
to go old man on it, but it's always going to be a tweet.
They tweeted, "There's nobody that is looking at this more closely than Pete Rose." What are you guys going to do?
Yeah.
How are you going to handle this?
Yeah.
And it's the biggest.
If he even watches baseball anymore, I'd be so done with it.
No, he's 15 beers in. It's Friday. He's not watching any baseball. It's 2:19. He's 20 beers in, probably with John Daly somewhere.
Oh, John Daly, what a!
I saw John Daly at the Clearwater Hooters.
Oh, really?
Fucking 2 months ago.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say it was during Valspar.
And he looks terrible.
Oh, yeah.
Well, he never looked good, but he looks terrible. He looks like a drinker. Like you look at John Daly, you're like, yeah.
One of my favorite memes is the one of him and Tiger, and it's Tiger's supposed to be the good version, and John Daly's the not good version, but does amazing or something. I love that meme.
So let's go back to this. Is going to happen a lot, by the way.
We're going to get on tangents.
But so I ended up leaving that Longhorns. I called Madi, and I couldn't really finish the conversation. She was like, "Yeah, let's go." I was like, "What?" I was like, "Yeah, let's go."
That's awesome.
We've been dying to go.
Right. This gives us a reason.
Yeah, it's everything's kind of pointing to it. Unfortunately, better ended, and let's go. Let's move forward and let's take that leap. And so cool to have your significant other be able to kind of support you in that way. So we did it. So we came up here. We flipped houses for about a year and a half, maybe. Yeah, about a year and a half, 2 years. did really well. We opened up the Orlando and Tampa market, and at some point the rug got swept under us, and the market shifted, and it went away from that iBuying, and a lot of these companies like OfferPad and Zillow. Well, Zillow completely dissolved that part of their business.
Okay.
Yeah, but the ones that were doing it, like Redfin, etc., kind of pulled back a little bit because of the market, and that took our business away. And we needed to get into more of residential and commercial construction. And I had a conversation with Alex, and I was like, look, man, like that's not what I want to do. The market's shifting on us. Like I was fine with doing the iBuying, but this is not really what I want to do. And you're not going to be able to pay me what I've made the last couple of years, as a salary to go out and get this business. So
right.
I think we just need to both go our separate ways. And we had a really cordial walking away, if you will. Again, we're still very good friends. Somebody I highly respect. He's done a great job with his business through multiple market shifts. And then we opened up. I opened up VBL.
Nice.
And been doing that for now probably like 2 years.
So VBL's pretty young.
Yeah, relatively. Yeah, VBL's pretty young. Although the inception of VBL was really during Better Brand.
Okay.
Because I had Vanessa and her team, which is partly our team now at VBL.
I gotcha.
I had Vanessa and her team help me with the marketing in Better Brand. They were my back end. They were my systems.
Gotcha.
My marketing back end. So that was really the inception. We didn't know it at the time, but that was really the beginning.
You were planting the seeds.
Yeah, that was really the beginning of growing our systems and our content management system and kind of our SOPs and how we dealt with marketing and how we built how we would bring people in for being our brand liaison, etc. Like that was really the bedrock of VBL today. And so yeah, we had a conversation with Vanessa about 2 years ago, year and a half ago, but 2 years ago. And I told her, I was like, look, I have this idea. This is a little bit past post-COVID. I have this idea. I want to really formalize what we've done for many years, like marketing and putting together teams and et cetera. And I want to do that for other companies. I want to do branding for other companies. Like we're very good at it. You're very good at the systems part. That's what I need. I'm naturally all over the place, run through a wall. So having somebody right behind me or right next to me that is very systems oriented, very organized, gives me what I don't have, and it's amazing because that lets me do what I do best.
So you got to be the visionary, the idea guy, and she got to be the implementer, the systems.
Yeah, she's a big time implementer. She's a big time systems. She's the back end, the content management systems, all that. And we started that, like I said, a couple of years ago, and it's gone really well. We've organically grown it. I haven't put any money into it.
Wow.
Organically just grown customer after customer after customer. We have a nice little customer list now, and now that's opening up other doors into the media side and production side, which is where the market is going in marketing. Content is king, as we know, and part of the reason
all that
why
like UGC, like the user generated content. That's all the hot thing over the last year or so.
Yeah.
It's been really hot. Anything that looks more homemade,
organic,
organic looking.
That's why podcasts are so hot as well right now, because you can be so organic in a podcast and be real and be throw everything on the table as a business owner. I think one of the areas that the market is going right now is a lot of personalization of branding of brands, and owners getting in front of the camera and talking
and becoming people,
right?
Becoming people that people know, not just a name. Like it's like I don't know if you mentioned it in this conversation or in a different one. Yeah, you did, because ISI. But the Toyota thing, right? Is incrementally small. Yeah, your ISIS personal training.
Kaizen.
Yeah. So I think it's, if Toyota came out and made a content strategy based around that theory, you could then conceptualize them as people, conceptualize them as their core values as a company, what they stand for, versus just affordable mid-sized sedans for everybody. Like that's probably their sweet spot, right? Is the people who buy the Camry, the Corolla, and the whatever their minivan is, right? So if they came out and made a content strategy around that was user content generated stuff, like they don't need to because they're massive, but that would be a way a brand could do something like that. And so small businesses now have to lean into that. Who are we as people? What people work here? What do they stand for? What do they like? cool, do I want to spend my hard-earned dollar with that person? Do I align with them? And a lot of that is, it goes back to what we were talking about in the last episode, about attracting your tribe and all those things. Like, people care more about that all of a sudden in today's day and age, but I think it's because it's so much more accessible now. Everybody's got a smartphone connected to the internet, so you can record up something, selfie style, put it on the internet, and that can be an ad. You just got to click the button that Facebook gives you and pay a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And
well, I think it's a perfect storm because COVID had a big part to do with that as well.
Yeah.
I think people are honing in more on the brands that they're buying from and wanting to buy from brands that align with some of their values.
They believe in.
And they believe in, correct. And you're seeing that a lot. And I think that happened. I think a lot of people, there was a lot of revelation during COVID with brands, and not to get too deep into COVID and
yeah, please don't.
Conspiracy theories and whatnot, but there was a lot of revelation with brands during COVID, and I think people started to look into that and be like, well, this brand, go screw yourself. Like, no. So, and vice versa. So I think post COVID, people are looking a little bit more mom and pop, and they definitely want you to pull the screen. They want you to pull the curtain. Like, who's behind my product? Who's making my product? Because I know, even though it's a machine or whatever, like, where are the core values of this company? And I think personal branding, or branding your business, and personalizing your business is so important moving forward for brands. I think the more you can personalize your brand, the better off you're going to be in the next 2 to 3 years. More companies need to be starting podcasts with the owners. More companies need to have the owners in front of the camera, on Instagram, on YouTube, on every single platform.
Which I think is hard. I think
it's very hard because I don't for the older generation too.
And I personally don't believe that the entrepreneur type of person is somebody who wants to be on camera.
A lot of times they don't,
and especially like that older generation.
I don't like being in front of the camera.
We've talked about it before. That older generation is somebody who wants to put their nose down and work.
Correct.
But the work is like, creating content doesn't feel like work. It's hard to directly correlate it to some kind of ROI.
But it is a work.
But it is.
Right.
But it is. But that's how it's shifting, right?
Yeah.
Because the work used to be in the business, and now the work is about the business. You need someone else who's really good at in the business.
Correct.
Like, you've got Vanessa to be really good in the business.
Correct.
And I know that you're exceptional in the business also.
Yeah.
But you have the personality, you have the sales experience to also be about the business.
Yeah.
And be the face of it if you wanted to.
Yeah.
Take that step.
Yeah.
My journey is very different than yours. I've got much less entrepreneurial experience, but I've learned a lot about who I am and what I don't want to do in the future as myself. So like, I grew up very much working, the usual, like, grocery store, big box retail, blah, 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 blah. And I got the opportunity to jump into the health and fitness field in a small business here locally, and promises were made, promises weren't kept. I left, right? To me, it was very amicable. It was like, hey, this is a business decision. This is my personal thing. I'm out. You promised me one thing. You're not going to give me that. Here's my 2 weeks. I'm going to go do something else. At that time, I had to go back into commerce, but I went into television commerce. So I started working for Home Shopping Network.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. I was the position they called it was a show planner.
Really?
So I worked on the computer in the office behind where they shot all the studios, where they shot all the stuff. So I talked to the hosts on a regular basis. I talked to the producers on a regular basis. But what I did is I planned what was going in the show, and I had to predict how much money each hour was going to make, how much each product was going to run at, and try to make us profitable, basically. I had to try and plan the show in a way that people would buy. Whether it's building the rate up, whether it's starting with the best sale at the top of the hour, whether it's trying to finish with a banger so people watch the whole hour and wait for it, and like coach them up on how to sell it, how to talk about it, talk to the buyers about like, hey, we need a product like this, or what do you have that's this price point that's not selling right now, like, because I just need filler, right? I did that for it was less than a year, because that was about the time HSN was bought out by QVC. And they tried to merge, and then they downsized everything. We had a team of 5 show planners, and they went to 2.
No shit.
So they took the most seasoned 2, and they got rid of me. They fired me a week before my wedding.
Wow.
My boss cried in her office. Sweetest woman. She's hard as nails. Tough woman. She's going to be successful at anything she wants to do. Cried in her office because she was like, you picked this up, so like you were doing such a good job, and now it's your wedding's like next week, and now you're unemployed. And I was like, great, like
I got let go about a month before my wedding, so I know how that feels.
So like, and you know Megan, she's a chronic worrier. She's like, what are we gonna do? What are we gonna do? Well, I got 3 months of severance figured out.
Yeah,
it'll be okay. So I went back to the health and fitness industry and found someone who gave me a chance. And then that re-sparked all of that. And like, I knew that I was built for this and built for that. And then I got the opportunity, was it 2 years ago now? A little over, to buy into that business and become part owner. And was handed the reins to like kind of take it and do what I want with it. And I had this grand vision of what I want to do. And I kept trying to force it, kind of like you holding on to Better Foods. I kept trying to force this vision to happen. Like, this is the best thing for everybody. This is what we got to do. This is the vision. Here's the system. Here's what we got to do it. And it just kind of kept slipping through my fingers. I keep having the image of like trying to pick up sand with an open hand. It's like you got some of it, but some of it's also not. You're not cupping it. You don't have the whole thing.
Yeah.
And I learned that I'm so much better at having the vision and then implementing it myself, but that conveying it to somebody else or maybe hiring the right person is a weakness that I'm still working on. Like, I can hire high quality people and I can coach them to be awesome at their job.
Yeah.
But there was a level at which I couldn't get people to reach in order to either buy in enough or convey enough of what I wanted them to accomplish and what I wanted us to accomplish as a business. And that led to having to sell that business at a much lower ticket than what it's actually capable of.
Yeah.
But luckily I'm still in the fitness industry. I love it every single day. I get to do something I'm good at. I get to do something that my wife says I'm made to do.
I agree.
And I learned a lot from that experience. Like, I know that I can run a business. I know that I can fulfill that vision, but I bought into a system that wasn't set up for that vision. And I thought I could turn it. And maybe I could have in a different setting with more money, I don't know. But in that instance, I didn't have either the skill set, the timeline, or both. One day maybe I will. So now it's about what's next. It's about doing the best I can with what I have today and then finding what's next and chasing that. But for right now, I got to do what's best for my family and take care of right now. Because like you talking, Braden was born right before you took that leap into doing the flipping.
Yeah.
Like, that had to be scary.
Yeah, it was terrifying.
So how did you, because you were guaranteed, I'm sure, a certain amount of money or something. You were guaranteed.
Not really.
No?
No.
So you were just guaranteed a job.
It wasn't even a job, really. It was more like, look, we have this business that can grow.
Okay.
Here are the accounts that Alex had already been doing in Miami, and it was a lot of trust on my end on him. Like, okay, you sure you can open these up over there and reproduce this over there? And ultimately, the answer is yes. And I'm glad that I made that jump. But yeah, it was on a whim.
So how did that impact? Because I remember the first 2 to 3 months of having Peyton just being like a whirlwind, and like having Peyton and having the business happen within like the same, 6 month span. And so like I was new to entrepreneurship and new to being a dad, and it was just overwhelming. But you had experience in being an entrepreneur.
Yeah. And
you were jumping in. You were kind of half in entrepreneur, but also working for Alex. It seems like you were you were trying to grow your business under his umbrella. It feels like
kind of. Honestly, at that point, it was more trying to do something different and not letting the failure of Better Brand. Remember, Braden was born right when I was losing my business.
Okay.
Like right when I was losing my business.
Okay.
I remember.
You're like, I'm at a low, but hey, I'm a dad now, so that's pretty cool.
I remember being in the hospital when Braden was born, and I remember text messages and stuff like that, and like vividly in the room. I can remember the room vividly. One, because of the amazingness of having a child and that moment, but also because of what felt like the world crumbling on my shoulders. And it's weird because it's you're bringing new life into the world at the same time that something is
something else is dying.
So it was a weird feeling.
You and I have talked in the past about how you perceived your dad to be this superhuman. You were already nervous enough becoming a dad to stand up and become the next iteration of him, but better, right? You always want to surpass your previous generation. what was that moment like in getting this, and I don't mean this to hurt you, but this massive failure feeling while you're also having one of your most massive successes? Like, what can you even verbalize? Can you even conceptualize what that was like?
No, the best way I could say it was just a weird feeling. Like it was a weird feeling because you're in one hand so excited to bring somebody into this world and be able to teach them, etc. And then at the same time, you feel like a fucking failure. You know,
did it make you feel better or worse about becoming a dad? Did it change that moment at all for you? Do you think it soured it at all?
I don't know. Maybe I have to have another child to know if if the feeling was different.
So
it didn't sour. No, it didn't sour.
So did that moment still meet expectations despite the world outside of the hospital room being on fire?
Say it again.
Did that moment sour? Did having Braden sour at all? Did it still meet expectations?
No. If anything, it felt like a saving grace.
Yeah, it was an anchor.
Yeah. You get emotional now, but yeah, it was an anchor.
I mean, that's what we're here for. Right?
No, 100%. But yeah, it felt like almost like there was a lot of learning too. Like that's such in the macro of life. Like you look at that moment, and you're like that is life. Like with death, there's life, and with things that fail, there's always an opportunity. There's always a door that's opening, and not that Braden was a door opening. You know what I mean, though.
And the reason I asked this is because there were many nights, days, moments, whatever you want to call them, where as a new dad and a floundering entrepreneur in the beginning, I was like,
by the way, you always feel like a floundering entrepreneur.
I can't do
Doesn't
this.
Get better.
Like there were days where I was like, I don't know that I can do both of these things. Yeah. So like I'm going to project this on you, but you having more experience in business, entrepreneur, having a business or two that didn't succeed, and then coming into a whole new venture and being a father, like I can only imagine my situation in that I was in a business that was doing okay. It was surviving. It wasn't thriving yet. It wasn't doing anything substantial, but I also wasn't hurting it. And I felt like I couldn't do both for sometimes because I was like, how do I be a dad? How do I be an entrepreneur? I'm trying to figure both out at the same time, and I'm not doing either one very well in my perception of it, right? And we're our own worst critic
100%.
of all those things. So I was curious because that seems like a very unique experience to be losing one and gaining the other versus trying to learn both at the same time, right? Like it feels like my paths were congruent and yours were colliding.
Right, yeah, they were definitely colliding. And again, I think part of what is amazing about being a father is that you can take your failures and your successes and you can kind of wrap that up and make them teachable moments throughout their, like even now as a 3-year-old, like, you know, there's one thing that he always says, he mixes up want and can't. He doesn't know the difference. For whatever reason, I don't know how he figured that out and where he crossed paths, but so he's always saying I can't, but he doesn't mean I can't. He's like, I don't want. You get what I'm saying? Like, he's not saying I can't. He doesn't know what the hell I can't mean.
Well, that's the difference between people saying have to and get to.
Right.
It's not a choice for him yet,
right.
But he sees them as the same thing.
Right.
He doesn't understand I do not want and I can't are different.
So by default now, I just always tell him, yes, you can. It's just like, Absolutely. It's coming out of my soul. Like, yes, you can. And it's nothing of what he mean. I know he doesn't mean I can't. He's just like, I don't want to do this shit right now, bro. you know, like.
I know that my wife is going to watch this and she's going to have my head for this.
Right.
Sorry, I love you. Megan and I often will get into a discussion, or I will point out to her the difference between need and want.
So important.
And I'm like, she's like, what do you want to do? And I was like, I want to sit my ass on this couch and watch some Netflix.
Yeah.
She's like, yeah, but we can't do that. I was like, yeah, but you asked me what I want to do. I very clearly understand what I want to do. What do I need to do? I need to get up off my ass and go mow the yard and rake the leaves and get up on the roof. And I need to do all those things.
Be productive.
I don't want to do any of it.
Yeah.
There are days where I just want to sit and veg out because, one, I'm on my feet multiple hours a day coaching people. And the whole time I'm talking to people, trying to coach them up to be better, to be that person, to be more fit, to be stronger, to be whatever. Sometimes I just want to come home and just do nothing. And like, I don't want to turn my brain on. And so when I get what do you want? That is like a, to me, that's like a junkie, like getting his drug. Like, I want to do nothing. I just want to relish.
Do you answer like that? Do you answer?
I answer in like, I have answered many ways. but I'll be like, you don't want to know what I want. I've said that a ton of times. Like,
Right.
you don't want to know what I want. Or I'll be like, do you really want to know what I want, or do you want to know what I'm going to do? Because they are very different. And she's like, you know what I mean. I was like, I do know what you mean, but when you say certain things, my brain is so weird.
I was going to say, because it sounds a little asshole-y.
No, it's 100% asshole. 100%. That's why she's gonna have my.
That's why she's gonna.
But
it's funny.
It's one of the things. I don't know if it's the way I'm wired or the way that I choose to be or what, but like, I want people to understand and learn the difference between get to and have to. I want people to understand the difference between their needs and their wants. I want people to understand that you don't have to go to the gym.
Right.
You get to go to the gym. You have an able body that you get to exercise and move.
Just
and
read
those things.
really good book about that.
Right? Yeah. You get to go and pick up your kids from school. There are people whose parents, they don't pick them up. They don't get to. But you have the time and the ability to go do that. You don't have to. It may be inconvenient, but you get to. Like, and if you reframe it positively, it changes what it is. So me being want to and need to, very different. Because I want to relax. I want to hang out. I want to do these things that are not going to better me, right? Or get things done. But I know what I need to do. And the different universes of me, there's one that's a slob and he's not in shape and he's not married, he doesn't have Peyton, blah, blah, blah. The one that did all the needs, he has all those things. He's the type of person that did all that stuff. Yeah. So don't ask me what I want to do. Yeah. Because I'm gonna give you the guy who wants to eat junk food, sit on the couch, play video games, and live with his mom. Yeah. Right? The need to guy though, is someone you want to know. The need to guy is someone you want to learn from. It's crazy though when those two start to converge and you start to realize like you actually do want to be productive and you do want to. I love those days. Because when you don't, you feel like an asshole after. You're like, I'm such a loser. Like, what did I do today? And you're like, I don't want to feel this way. But when you do the things that you need to do, right? Yeah. And you're very intentional about those things, like it starts to become the things that you want to do. Like I want to go on a walk every single day because I know it makes me feel good. Right. I get to be in my own thoughts. I get to really, really like plan out my day. And it's been a big game changer for me. And that was something that it started as, I know I need to walk. And now it's like, man, I get up and I'm like, man, I want to walk today because of the benefits. So I get what you're saying, and it's crazy when those things start to converge. It is. It's good. It's good to still have days where you don't want what you need. It's still good to have that balance. Yeah, and understand that, like, you can have a day off. It's okay to also want a day off. Yeah, 100%. Because you don't want to get into what was it a while back, like grind mentality or whatever that was called. It's just if you're sleeping more than 4 hours, you're a waste. Like, you don't want to get into that either. So there's like a sweet spot in it. But I struggle with that more often than I'd like to admit on the want to be a vegetable. For somebody who lives in health and fitness and there's days I just want to sit on the couch and just not talk to anybody. Yeah. But at the same time, I've had many weekends where like I don't want to sit and watch football all day because I'm like, what did I do then? Yeah. How did I move the needle? Production. How did I move the needle that day? What happened to 1% better that you said you were going to do? You didn't get 1% better on Sunday. Why? Just because it's Sunday? No, every day that ends in Y is a great day to get better. Yeah. That was one of my biggest curbs for drinking. Not that I had a drinking problem, but I definitely I would resolve a lot of my problems with drinking, and I think that's a big differentiator. But that was one of the things that curbed that for me was like, why because it's Saturday or Sunday am I gonna have? It's fine to have drinks. I still have drinks, but am I going to have multiple drinks at night or whatever the case may be? Feel like shit on Sunday just because it's Saturday or Sunday. You know what I'm saying? Like, why? Because it's the weekend. Like, that is not something that is constructive for me as the person that I want to be. It's so funny that you say that because right now, as you know, at the gym, we're hosting a summer shred, right? We're doing a 4-week nutrition challenge. Yeah. And Coach Katie, our nutrition coach, she asked everybody, what's one thing you've learned in the first week of doing this? We've only been doing it 5 or 6 days. And somebody said, I never realized how all of my social events are an alcohol-focused, centric social gathering. It's crazy. Like, everybody is going out for drinks. Like, why can't we just go out and enjoy each other? Why can't we go see a movie without bringing a flask? Why is alcohol the thing that brings us together? Yeah. And it's so detrimental to what I actually want to be. Yeah. And I was like, I love that you're having that aha moment because that's something that a lot of people who start going down their health and fitness path, they realize like, oh shit, I'm not drinking. I don't have a drinking problem. I'm not an alcoholic.
I'm
I'm
just
not
having a
addicted,
lot of my problems
but
with
I'm-
drinking.
But yeah, exactly. But a lot of my situations end up with alcohol.
Yeah.
And they don't need to.
Yeah, they know.
So, in trying to tie everything to the topic of today, because we're really good at getting on tangents, what is something that you have implemented? Maybe it's in the need want category, maybe it's in the business decision category of like creating those systems for yourself and turning the needs into wants. Maybe more in the dad realm, or maybe more in the business realm to create more space for the dad realm. Like, what's something that you can think back on and be like, that was a conscious effort to become a better father or to become a better entrepreneur so I can be a better father kind of things? Do you have any of those?
My health journey.
Yeah?
100%.
So the weight loss?
And not so much the weight loss. Weight loss to me is a byproduct of a healthy lifestyle.
There you go.
Right? And that is not to be bumper sticker content creator, but it's
I agree
it's
with
the
that.
truth.
But I agree with that because that still aligns with our be do have mentality. You started doing the habits to make you a happier, healthier person.
Correct.
And then as a byproduct of doing those things consistently, you lost weight. You didn't go into it necessarily, like you might have started out saying, I want to lose weight. But in the end, when you got down, you said you haven't lost how much?
I've lost in total since I started with Evolve probably 60, 70 pounds.
60, 70 pounds. I mean, that's
from the get.
That's 2 Bradens.
Yeah.
Right? But like, you may have started saying, I would like to lose weight because then I'd look better. But then you started feeling better and it started becoming easier to do your needs became your wants. And then you lost the weight, but then
I agree with you, but actually this time around, and why I think it's been so powerful, I did it the opposite way.
Really?
So I've
from the jump.
I've been somebody that has gained and lost weight very easily my entire life.
Okay.
I've always been. If you know me, I've fluctuated weight my entire life.
Okay.
Depending on when you catch me, I'm either 315 or I'm either 245 and like jacked, like and it could be a 6 month span, like in my past.
You could be 315 and jacked. It's just underneath it all.
Exactly. It's just underneath a big belly, whatever. I did it. I honestly, one of the biggest downfalls that I had as a person, one of the biggest failures that I had as a person and as an entrepreneur with Better Brand was that I let everything that I rooted against and everything that I was against as an entrepreneur, as a person, I let affect me. I gained weight. I started drinking. I was overworking. I did not delegate. You can go down the road of things that I did that let me get to a very unhealthy state, like extremely unhealthy state. I was overweight. Again, I was probably having 1 or 2 drinks a night, like a bourbon while I was working. I'd work till fucking 2 a.m. I was running all our social content and answering customers back. I was customer service.
You were everything.
So I was answering customers at 2, 3 a.m. because they were in California. Like,
did you have people that could have been those people for you, or were you a very small show?
Yes, we could have. We didn't have the money for it because we were so tight.
Okay.
But that goes back to how we built the company, and ultimately there was a lot of foundational issues when we built the company.
So, and
it didn't allow us to grow.
There are people out there who are one-man bands who are having to do all of that.
Yeah, because they have to. Yeah, I get it.
Because they have to. So I was asking you. I guess I was asking, was it out of necessity? It sounds like it was, but you're saying it's due to some poor planning on the foundational stage.
Yeah. Okay, so yes and no. I guess yes because we didn't have the money, but no because we planned poorly.
Maybe it went on longer than it should.
100% it went on. Yeah.
So maybe that's more the issue than the fact that you were doing it, but that it went on longer than it needed to.
Yeah, it went on way longer than it needed to. Yeah, and I let that affect me. I became an unpleasant husband. I became an unpleasant person. I was stressed beyond stressed, day in and day out.
How did that show up for you?
Just not being me.
Well, like were you more emotional? Did you pick fights? Did you close up?
I probably picked a lot of fights.
Did you dive into work harder? Did you swerve into more drinking? Like how did it show up to you? And then What was the straw that showed you that you were there? What was the moment in which you went, I'm fucking it up?
When I lost Better Brand.
Okay.
And I was like, look at me. Like, what the fuck, man?
Okay.
You know, like almost that, what have you done, dude?
Right.
You know, moment.
How did you get here?
Yeah, like sitting in the house alone.
Shit.
You know the Will Smith scene where he's like, everybody's left him and like,
yeah.
that moment, like,
Yeah.
and he's just standing there. It was almost that moment. Everybody
Okay.
left. All my partners left. All my partners were like, you know, we're out. You know,
Yeah.
we're not gonna lose any more money. And it was almost like, shit, dude, like you did everything contrary to what you believe in. And you let all these things affect your day to day. And you became a person that you're not,
Yeah.
or that you don't want to be.
Right.
Because you can't say you're not, because you're living
'Cause
that.
you're
So
living
you,
it.
you
Yeah,
are
yeah.
that. And you became a person. So yeah, I was irritable, probably very unpleasant to be with outside of just my marriage.
Right.
I'm assuming like I was just an asshole.
Yeah,
all around. I wasn't being myself. I didn't have the overall vision that I needed to have to be able to really take Better Brand to the next level, understand the writing on the wall. Like I was just so brain fogged and warped, and it that was the moment. The moment when I lost Better Brand was that slap in the face. Like, look at you, look
Yeah.
at what you become. You're overweight. You're not who you wanted to be, the person you wanted to be.
Yeah.
Going back to what we always
Right.
talk about. So it was that moment.
Do you think that the collision of losing Better Brand and Braden being born
1,000%.
were like super catalysts?
1,000%. 1,000%. One of the biggest catalysts has always been like, I want to make sure I want to be the person when Braden's 10, 15, 20, 25, that I don't need him to look up to me. I just need him to respect and appreciate me as a person.
Okay.
That's all I want to be to him. Like,
Okay.
if he looks up to me, that's fucking great. Like, I'm a role model for him, whatever.
Right.
And yes, ultimately that's what you want to be. But ultimately, like, I just want to be that like, I want to be able to live my life so intentional and so on purpose that he looks at that as motivation, and he looks at that as, you know, man, at the end of the day, I respect my pops, like, because that's what I could say. Because I can't sit here and say that every single decision my dad has made has been a great decision, or that he's been a great business person. Like,
Right.
you know, like, he's done great things, and he's been a very hard worker and had a great career. But I guarantee, and I'm sure there's a lot of things I don't know, like, you know, that we could sit down and be like, well, that was stupid, you know, that was dumb as fuck. Like, why'd you do that?
Right.
You know, and by the way, Braden would be able to sit down with me and we'd go over things and be like, that's fucking stupid, you know,
Yeah.
like, but ultimately all I care about is that. And when I was at that moment that Braden's being born and I'm losing Better Brand, I'm like, he wouldn't respect the person I am today, you know, like, I don't respect the person I am today.
Right.
And that's fucking powerful, man. Like, you got to respect who you are first, you know, in order for anybody else to respect you and see you as the person you want to be. You got to be living that. You got to respect yourself. That needs to be internal.
Yeah.
That
Could be synonymous with love.
Yeah.
Too, right. So
there was a podcast I was listening to the other day, and they talked about that. Is like, you got to show your own work to yourself. Like, you got to show the work. You know, in math class, like, hey, show me the work.
Yeah.
It's like,
You gotta show the work.
You got to show yourself the work. Like, are you
Take action?
Yeah, are you this person?
Yeah,
Like,
take action.
and it was at that moment that I did a hard, deep look, and I'm like, man, I'm not the person I want to be, and I'm not becoming the person that I want to be. I'm not a good husband. I'm not going to be a good father if I continue to do this. Like, I'm unhappy all the time. I'm overweight. I'm not living a good life. I'm drinking. Like, just not good. And yeah, it was that moment. Like, was Braden a catalyst? Yeah, for sure. Like, having a child and having that responsibility, and again, having that understanding that one day that person that's not there necessarily at the moment, that person's going to look at you and be like, you know, who are you?
Yeah. What are you
know,
doing?
what are you doing? Like, what is the person that you are? So, or who are you? So, yeah, that was a catalyst, big time. 100% was a catalyst. Both things converging were a big moment in my life. Also, and this was probably as big, but a byproduct of all this was Mari and I weren't doing too good. Like, we had our hardships, you know, and there was moments there that we weren't doing good at all, and that was very detrimental to the next X amount of months of our relationship, where there was so much dust from Better Brand and everything that those 2 years brought, that yeah, it was tough on our relationship, very tough. We're a lot better now. We've grown so much from that. We learned a lot from each other and of each other through those moments. I learned a lot of Mari. It's not every day that you can call your wife and be like, yo, we're gonna just move cities. I know we just had a baby, but we're just gonna move cities. And
right.
Oh, so you found a job? Kind of like
I got a
oh, so you have a salary? Kind of. So for her to be able to trust me after everything that happened with Better,
right,
was powerful.
Yeah.
And honestly, part of that converging, being able to still have that love and affection and trust in your other half, your partner, is incredibly powerful.
There's nothing in any relationship that I think that I've ever been in prepared me for having Peyton. And then like you always thought you were a team, right? As a married couple or as a dating couple, like you're a team against the world, blah blah blah. But like having a kid makes it 1,000 times different. The stakes are so much higher. Like we've had a dog for since 2014 or whatever. So she's 9 years old, I think it is. And so like we've had a life that we've been taking care of, but it is not the same.
No,
it is not the same. And like, not that I ever thought it was going to be the same, but I also didn't think it was going to be so different and so much more anxiety and stress and love, and everything was on another level. All the emotions were on another level.
Yeah. And
so when you mentioned the stress of your relationship, the strain, the challenges of what you were going through as a person, as a man, as a human, I can only imagine that Mari's going through something very similar, because she's just gone through this intense transformation between being pregnant, having a child, and then trusting you to move to a completely different city.
Yeah.
Those conversations must have been intense, so intense to be there with your partner and have that conversation, because Megan and I didn't have moving to a different city, buying a house at 2 months old. We had our house get flooded at 2 months old, and then had to move somewhere else for 3 months or so, and then come back. But there were so many conversations in that time about what's going on with the business, what I'm doing, where I'm going, what I'm trying to be, and how I can best support her, because my commute quadrupled. And so like that's another hour and a half out of the day that I'm not there to be there to help with the baby. And having a baby and being there all the time for her, intense, insane. I'm only there a part of the time, and I'm like, this is exhausting.
Very intense.
So the takeaway from that I get is like the communication aspect of all of that was something that you were clearly struggling with in certain areas of your life, and you shored that up. But it had to start with communicating with yourself. It had to start with deciding what you wanted and making that what you needed. And then it came back to becoming what you wanted when you became the person you wanted to see in your reflection. The
best way I can break it down is, I always thought creating a successful company was going to be my pinnacle, was going to be like, damn,
the most fulfilling.
And it was that's when people were going to admire me, and that's when people were going to look and be like, oh shit, this guy's a real good entrepreneur.
Yeah.
And
he did it.
Right, he did it. Correct. And when it was what we were talking about earlier, about attaching yourself from the business or the product. When you start to realize that you don't get to that pinnacle without being the pinnacle yourself.
Right.
Like, you have to be the person.
You have to be the tip of the spear.
You have to be the tip of the spear. And it doesn't just happen by building a successful company. It happens before that.
Yeah.
And that's why you see a lot of entrepreneurs, they'll build a successful company and they'll have a big regression. Like they'll lose it. And it's because they didn't work on themselves first, or during the process. They lost themselves. Yeah, great, they built this great company, but they're nobody after it. They're just this person that built a great company. They haven't built their foundation. And yeah, I think that's when I started this again, and when I started BBL, etc., that was definitely on the mind. Like, and I had started that process before it, but be the person that can be the pinnacle first, be the tip of the spear first, like be the leader first, you know, and then you can lead and grow a company.
I think I told you this a while back when we were just tossing around the idea of having these conversations on tape, and like one of my favorite things about being the entrepreneur, being the business owner, was the leadership, the mentoring of the coaches and the people who relied on me to develop them as people. Like developing them as coaches and their skills, whatever, they can get that from a book, but like the things we're talking about in this podcast are things that they're not in a book. They're not, I mean, I guess they're technically in a book, but they're not things that people are reading. They're not interested to go out and find, but if you see them in action, you're like, how does that guy do that? Talking about being the tip of the spear. How does that guy do that? Like one person in the ecosystem of social media that I think is doing that really well is Gary Vee, as much as he's super popular, but like over half of his content is about gratitude. Is about just being grateful and having not necessarily like not being blindly positive, but having gratitude and looking back at where you came from to where you are now, instead of looking at the difference between me and Gary Vee. Gary Vee's got millions of followers on Instagram, millions of followers on Twitter, and I've got 300. I'm not looking at that. I'm looking at, hey, look at the 3 people that joined this past week and following my journey and listening to my message and resonated with it and maybe commented like, hey man, this really helped. Like that's preaching that message, and like it's hard to be the tip of the spear if you're not comfortable with that, with whatever your core values are, with whatever you're trying to push towards. So I think that to kind of sum up this episode, like the balancing act of entrepreneurship and fatherhood and whatnot, it all starts with you. It all starts with deciding 100%. Who are you, and then from there, how does the you that you want to be, that you get to, how does that affect your relationships? And if this person you're trying to be affects your relationships in a way that you don't want it, then this isn't the person you want to be. You got to go back to the drawing board, rebuild.
Correct.
So you built a person that built a successful company, and that company got challenged, and it created you into a person that you didn't want to be, which challenged your relationships with your business partners, your wife, your whatever.
Everybody.
And you when that business went away, you finally saw the person you were, and then you had to go and do work on that person before you could build the relationships back up.
Yeah. And ultimately, it's hard to say, because you sit here and you're like, you know, the rise and fall of Better Brand is not on just one person, right? But as the entrepreneur and as the leader, everything is your fault. Correct. Exactly.
You take ownership, even if it's not your fault. You feel the responsibility.
Correct.
Of the lows just as much as the highs.
Correct. And that was one of the biggest kind of draws from that fall, was I just need to become a better person. Like that's it. Like I need to become a better person. It doesn't matter how many companies I grow.
Right.
It doesn't matter how many ideas I have. I just need to become a better person. I need to start living by the habits that I want to live by.
Yeah.
And make those decisions that person that I want to become will make.
Preach.
Day in and day out. So.
Preach. To the people who happen to listen to this and hear that message and think that sounds so simple.
It's not.
Well, I'll disagree. It is simple. It's not easy.
Right. Okay, that's a good way.
It's simple.
Yeah.
It's so simple.
Yeah.
But you got to do the work. You got to show the work. Yeah. And that's it. That's the end of that.
Yeah.
That's it.
Good.
Overrated, underrated?
Overrated, underrated. Do you have one?
All right. Overrated, underrated, or appropriately rated. Hot right now.
Okay.
Barefoot shoe training.
Wow, I had this conversation with Marty the other day. So, okay, go.
So you got it. All right.
I have. Go. No, go.
No, I'm asking you. No. You know my stance on it.
Okay.
I'll share in a second, but
so
barefoot shoe training.
This is a little bit of a loaded question, but I'm gonna go overrated.
Okay.
And I'll go overrated because of this. And I'm gonna put in the same bracket the barefoot shoe training with I guess that would be barefoot shoe training, because some people actually go barefoot and then some people go the actual shoes.
Okay.
So, and they're intertwined.
Okay.
Right.
That's
okay.
fine. You're trying to mimic one with the other. I'm okay
Right.
with that.
Okay.
Let's see what.
So I think there's more of a value, or people need to focus more on just flat shoes or flatter shoes, or shoes that are not like Hokas, and not to throw Hokas on the bus. I use Hokas, but
they're the example.
But the platform, very cushiony shoes. I think there's certain exercises that you need to focus not having those shoes on, because it will improve your depth, it will improve your squat, it will improve a lot of things. So in that sense, rate it exactly where it needs to be, because I truly believe in that. Now,
so you're saying there are right times for barefoot training.
100%.
And in those times, it's appropriately rated.
Or barefoot, or not such platformy,
not cushy shoes.
Okay.
Right, cool.
Because not everybody is going to buy barefoot shoes, and maybe some people don't feel comfortable in it. Like personally, I don't.
Okay.
I just like a little bit flatter. I like my rock shoes are fat enough for me that I can get a good squat, etc., etc. Okay. Now, from that to stemming to now the cultiness of like, we got to wear barefoot shoes for everything, because that is now the thing. I'm going to say overrated in that sense, because I have a very personal story with, like, when I say personal, like what happened to me. I started using Hokas to walk, like just for my walking and whatever, and it has been night and day for me. Like my knee, outside of this little knee thing, but that has nothing to do with the shoes. My knee pain went away. My ankle pains have gone away. Like, there's certain things that have gone away because I feel like now I'm a bigger dude. I'm a stronger dude. Like, I have more weight. I have more mass, on my legs and on my feet. And when I walk at the level that I've been walking, like I've been taking a lot of steps throughout the day, etc. I feel like that cushion has helped me in my walking, etc. But again, so I'm going to say rated exactly where it needs to be when it comes to, or overrated when it comes to kind of like the cultiness of it now.
Yeah.
But
I'm doing it all the time.
Right, exactly. But when it's very specific movements, rated exactly where it needs to be.
So I feel like, to me, this kind of sounds like the argument for like cleats. Like when they're needed, they're awesome. But you don't need them all the time.
Right.
That's what I'm hearing.
Yeah.
Okay. So I want to ask you a couple of questions about that, because I'm interested in your answer. When you go for a walk, where do you walk? What do you walk on? Are you like a sidewalk guy? Are you a trail guy?
Sidewalk.
Are you in the street? Are you walking in the grass? Are you walking on a trail?
We have it's not a trail, but we have a sidewalk. Well, yeah, I guess it is a trail.
And when I say trail, I mean like dirt, nature, roots, that kind of stuff.
So if I went dirt, nature, like actual, like maybe like hiking-ish or whatever, like I will use hiking boots.
Okay.
But no, if I'm going to go on a concrete walk, or like a light trail, or a path, if you will. If I'm at a park, whatever the case may be, it's Hokas.
Okay. So my opinion on this is that they're definitely not overrated, and if anything, they're just marketed inappropriately because everything has to be so polarizing now. Everything has to be, it's all or nothing. You're doing it wrong or you're doing it right. There is no in between, right? So I think that the power of barefoot shoes lies in everything not on concrete. Because you're trying to mimic the paleo, the Neanderthal, the caveman, who didn't have fucking concrete.
Correct.
He had dirt and rocks and grass. When I walk in my Vivos on grass, it feels amazing. It feels so good. I can wear them anywhere that's not hard concrete. Now, if I'm walking on polished concrete in a fucking warehouse, my feet are going to start hurting, because we're not meant to walk on concrete, on asphalt. That's a man-made thing. Lifting, love them. Jumping and running, could go either way. I think that for certain sports, such as long distance running, you shouldn't wear them. Especially if you're running on sidewalk, if you're running on trails. If you're running on a dirt trail, maybe. I've seen a lot of people have a lot of success doing ultras and whatnot in the most minimist shoes ever, right? But as for, weightlifting, like, I think they're great. I think deadlifting in them is great. I think squatting in them is great, provided you have the mobility. Now, does that mean that if you don't have the mobility, you should get Hokas? No. You should find some way to improve your mobility and keep training within your range of mobility, but that's where professionals like me come in to help you out. So I'm going slightly underrated because they're marketed incorrectly, in my opinion, because they have to be so polarizing.
That's fair.
But
That's a good one.
I like your take on it too.
I appreciate that. Yeah, and I've been super happy with my Hokas. I look like I'm an 80-year-old
I'm never gonna
white man, but
I'm gonna say that right now, hard, never going to wear Hokas.
But there's some of them that look really nice, man.
Yeah, a lot of people swear by them.
Hokas
and the On Clouds. People love the.
I haven't tried the On Clouds, but yeah, Hokas.
I think On Cloud's a great name, by the way.
It's a great name.
It's a great name.
Yeah, and they do look like clouds.
We should have an episode where we just talk about how good brand names and their marketing
I'm
are.
down with that. I could be here all day.
On Cloud. All right, that wraps it up for this one. Thanks again. See you in the next one.